guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Smitha. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to show you my eyebrow routine for hooded eyes. As you guys know, I have hooded eyes and I've learned several tips and tricks along the way and I want to share those with you. And I also want to show you what you should and shouldn't be doing. So if you're ready, let's get started. First things first, let's see if we have hooded eyes. All you have to do is look straight in the mirror and try to look at your eyelids. If you can't see it because it's hiding under some extra skin or the hood, then you have hooded eyes. So because of that, even if you apply eye makeup, it's not going to show much because it's going to go hide under the hood. So the key is to use as much space as possible below the brows to do the eye makeup so it's visible. So for that, you need to maximize the space between your lash line and the brows by keeping the arch of the brows as high as possible. And for that reason, whenever I wax or tweeze my brows, I keep the arch pretty high. And I do understand not all of us have high arches or high brows. So the key is to maximize the space. Try to tweeze as much as possible underneath the brows, but not on top. That way you maintain the thickness of the brows. At the same time, you create some space underneath. The first thing I like to do is brush my brow hair downwards with a spoolie brush. And I apply the foundation because I don't like that space to be shown between the border of my brows and my skin itself. I like the foundation to cover all the way up to my brows. That way that clear partition is not shown. And it's okay if the foundation gets on your brows. We can always use a spoolie brush to brush it off and clean it up. It's not a problem. If you have brows like me that grow in all different directions and needs to be tamed, I would advise you to use a brow wax. And the one that I'll be using today is the Eyebrow Brow Grooming Pencil. All you have to do is apply a thin coat over your brows in the direction that you want it to stay in, and it'll stay that way. An important point to keep in mind while doing your brows if you have hooded eyes is to keep it looking as natural as possible. And for that, I prefer to use a brow pencil, and my favorite is precisely my brow from Benefit, and this is in the shade 4.5. Again, I'm going to maintain as much distance as I possibly can with my brows between my lash line and the arch of the brows by keeping the arch high as well as the corners really high. I don't want to bring it lower than it actually is. And as I said, I want to keep it looking as natural as possible because I don't want too much attention to be drawn towards my brows, which is sitting directly on my hood. So all I'm doing is filling in just the bald spots in my brows, which are the sparse areas. First, I'm going to fill on top, and then I'm going to use the spoolie brush to brush my brow hair upwards, and then I'm going to fill at the bottom. And as you must have already observed, I'm starting from the middle and going towards the outer end. I'm not starting from the inner part because that is going to look really harsh and draw attention towards your brows again. So we don't want that. Let's fill in the middle and the outer end. And now for the inner part, you obviously cannot even leave it blank. So I'm going to take my spoolie and brush my brow hair, kind of wiggle it and push some of that color towards the inner part of my brow. So that way it won't have too much color, but at the same time it'll have enough color. So that way you get that ombre effect, the lighter in the inner part. And as you move to the outer corner, it becomes deeper and deeper. And now to keep my brows intact, I like to use an eyebrow setter, more like an eyebrow gel that'll hold your brows for a long time. And the one that I'm using is from Benefit Cosmetics. And this is colorless, it has no tint to it, so it's not going to add any extra color to your brows. You can if you want, if you have lighter brows, but the one that I use is transparent. This step is optional, but I personally like to use a dry Q-tip to clean up underneath the brows. On the other side, I'm going to do my brows a little bit different just to demonstrate and show you what you can avoid. I'm using a deeper pomade and that looks a little bit harsh, but let's go ahead and do the brows. I'm using an angled brush to apply the pomade onto my brows, and I'm going to pull it a little bit lower than it actually is. By doing so, it looks thicker and there's more attention drawn towards your brows, and it looks heavier on the hood, which means the hood looks even more heavier on the eyes. With that, there's more attention drawn towards your brows and your hood, and there is less space between your lash line and the arch of the brows to do your eye makeup. And here's a comparison. Next, let's go ahead and clean up underneath the brows. I personally prefer using a concealer for this step. And my favorite is Milani, and I'm in the shade 145. And I usually use the e.l.f. eyeliner brush because it's flat and tapered, which means it's easier to navigate it through the borders and the corners. I'm going to start underneath my brows and go all the way up to my lash line, and then use a damp sponge to even it out. I'm quickly going to use some loose powder to set this just so it doesn't crease. And as you can see, the brows look pretty natural and neat, and there is enough space between the lash line and the arch to do the eye makeup. Another mistake that I see people doing, and I'm personally guilty of doing this in the past, is to use the concealer to clean up the front portion of the brows. Let's do that on the other side to see what actually happens. So I'm cleaning up the front as well as the lower part of the brows, and that makes it look very harsh. And the moment something starts looking harsh, it starts to draw attention, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. And clearly on this side, the hood looks pretty heavy as compared to the other side. Another thing to keep in mind is when you highlight your brow bone, try to keep it as close to the arch as possible. Bringing it any lower will highlight your hood. In turn, it'll make your hood look bigger and heavier. That's pretty much it, you guys. Those are some simple points that we can keep in mind to keep our brows looking natural, our hood looking lighter, and our eye makeup looking better. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want to watch more videos like these. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For your convenience, I'm listing all the products that I used in the description box right below this video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you soon with a brand new one. Bye, guys.